The girl finds a huge bird's nest in a cave. She sneaks up and surprisingly there are 7 boys lying inside. The girl's name was Danka, and since she was a little girl, her mother had been cold to her. Danka didn't understand why her mother was so cold to her. It wasn't until later that she heard that there was a witch living in the forest, and that witches knew everything in the world. So Danka went into the forest and found the witch. The witch gave her a comb and told her that if she combed her mother's hair with this comb, she could see her memories. Danka went home, and in the middle of the night, while her mother was sleeping, she used the comb to comb her mother's hair, and she saw her mother's memories. It turned out that before Danka, her mother had given birth to 7 sons, but she had always wanted a daughter, so she made magic bread to make a wish the way witches do, not realizing that a few of her sons had run in and messed it up. The mother forgot about the spell and said something about wishing you all to turn into crows, which resulted in several of her sons actually turning into crows. In order to get his mother out of this, Danka asked the witch to teach him how to break the spell. The witch told him that he had to personally sew 7 pieces of clothing out of nettles for his brothers to wear before the spell could be broken, and Danka could not say a word until the clothes were ready. So Danka was guided by the witch to a place called the Green Sea. She found 7 brothers. In order to free her brothers quickly, Danka began to make clothes out of nettles. In the cornfield, a wild boar suddenly ran towards Danka. She was so scared that she ran away. With a gunshot, the boar was shot. Seeing the servant who came in to pick up the boar, Danka got up and ran. The man who fired the shot saw another movement in the cornfield and was about to pull the trigger again. Unexpectedly, he was attacked by several crows and shot and wounded one. Danka immediately turned back when he saw this, cupped the crows on the ground and ran. Danka ran to the witch with his wounded brother, which saved his brother's life. At night, after the witch fell asleep, Danka ran a comb through the witch's hair and saw the witch's past. The witch was originally the queen of this country, and because she gave birth to a cat, she was taken for a witch and almost burned by the masses. Finally, she was saved from becoming a witch. The next day, Danka comes to the river to dry nettles and coincidentally meets the Great Prince. Danka tells the Great Prince in sign language that she will use the nettles to make clothes. As they got along, they fell in love with each other. Afterwards, the Great Prince proposed to Danka, and soon the two were married in a grand ceremony. Soon after, Danka became pregnant with the Great Prince's child. The evil queen decides to do the same thing again. When Danka was about to give birth to her child, she arranged for the Great Prince to leave the palace. That night, Danka took a comb and combed the queen's hair while she was asleep. It turned out that the queen back then was framed by the woman in front of her. The fat woman replaced the queen's child with a cat and became the mother of that child herself. The empress carried the child to the city wall and threw the child right off, only to be rescued by the crows that arrived. The queen arrested Danka as a witch. Danka has one last garment left to sew and cannot speak in her own defense and is sent straight to the execution chamber. Danka was also sewing clothes in the prison wagon, with half a sleeve left at the end. She was already tied to the torture table. In the nick of time, the Raven brothers arrived just in time. Danka hurriedly said an incantation, and just like that, the brothers all turned back into humans. The brothers carried Danka off the torture platform. The queen, however, said it was Danka's witchcraft and ordered the guards to burn Danka and her brothers. Just then, the Great Prince arrives back. Danka tells the Great Prince that the queen is not his real mother. The witch from the forest also arrives and returns the child to them. The queen tried to argue, but the witch held her in her arms and made the Great Prince run a comb through the queen's hair. The Great Prince not only saw the queen's plot, but also saw that the queen had thrown down boulders on the city wall to try to hit the Great Prince in order to make the second prince the king. Learning the truth, the first prince banishes the queen and the witch is reinstated as queen. Danka returns home with her 7 brothers, who are still the same teenagers as before, but their parents have long since grown old. After half a lifetime of waiting, the family is finally reunited.